Actually, I think there are still a lot of people who really believe that active exhaust and straight pipe are the same thing.
The car already sounds refined, but it doesn't annoy anyone. You start pressing the gas more often just to hear how your car sounds.
6 years on the market. Do you consider yourself a startup or not anymore?
We intend to release the next version in the near future soon.
On the highway.
On the highway, yes. Then you step out and your head is buzzing, bless you.
Listen, you guys are really risky.
Our clients and owners of luxury cars are usually diesel, gasoline, and even electric. Those who want individuality, who want to stand out, that's in America, all over Europe, and Asia.
What sound did you end up with? Decibels that...
I personally spent almost 8 months in the studio with the sound engineer. I'm all about quality, and I love developing it.
When you're driving around the city, people really turn their heads and look.
You can interact with it, you can turn it off, you can make it quieter or louder, and emotions always with a good product. Those who love cars, and I tell them, oh indeed, you're one of us.
Hello. Today we're in for a very deep, sincere conversation about the product, the business, marketing and personal branding. Today here in this studio, I, Olga Efremova, a marketer at Ixsound, and our CEO Sergey, let's discuss our project, our product, and reveal its values to you a bit more broadly and deeply. Hello.
Hello.
Sergey, let's introduce the audience to the company, what it specializes in, and what the product is.
Well, our company produces a product called the Active Electronic Exhaust System. We started releasing it on the market in 2018. We are a company, well, a monobrand. Our product is just one, and that's our system. But basically, we're trying to expand and cover the whole world wherever possible. What is an active exhaust system? It's an acoustic system, speakers, an electronic module, wiring that connects everything, and all of this is placed on the outside of the car, connected to the onboard network. Then, the person, whether a client or the car owner, can choose different sounds through an app. Sounds that we've recorded in advance from powerful sports cars, thus triggering the sound and playing it through the exhaust system of that specific car.
So, everything we usually hear on the streets of the city is actually the exhaust system. Is it yours or some other one?
No, not quite like that. What we hear, well, we hear different sounds, right? There's a straight-through system. Yeah, that's when they just modify the exhaust and remove the muffler, right? And it's called a straight-through system because it's just a straight pipe. These systems, of course, worry us and don't let us sleep well. Our system is different. Our system can be adjusted. You can turn it off if you want, or make it quieter so it doesn't bother anyone. So, our system, as a rule, can be listened to when needed, and when it bothers others, it can be turned off.
Who are your clients? Who installs this system?
Our clients are typically owners of prestigious diesel, gasoline, and even electric cars. Those who want individuality, who want to stand out, who have a powerful, beautiful car. It drives wonderfully, looks amazing, but doesn't sound like anything. And with our system, they want to add even more individuality, specifically in terms of sound. To take a ride and enjoy it. And I can say from my own experience, I also drove with the same system. And I even find myself pressing the gas more often just to hear how my car sounds. It's primarily about bringing joy to yourself.
Let's talk a bit about the company's history. Where did the idea of creating such an active exhaust come from? Where do the roots come from?
I've been in tuning since 2008. Before that, I worked in a financial organization for 12 years. And in 2008, I had a good friend who was into tuning. He invited me to join his team and work on his company. So I left the financial organization and worked with him for 10 years. We were really into high-quality tuning and exterior styling. He has a very well-known company, by the way, all over the world. After 10 years, I wanted something of my own. I met developers working on the active exhaust system. They had a prototype, and I joined when it was ready to sell. In early 2018, we developed it together. Their task was development. Mine was promotion, sales, marketing, and other needs. And so, as a team, it was right at the beginning of 2018, and we started developing this product together. Their task is development. My task is to promote it, handle sales, marketing, and everything else that's needed. But I'm also actively involved in the developments.
So why active exhaust? Where do the roots come from?
The roots of this system actually come from Germany. It was invented by the Germans. Volkswagen came up with it about 10 years ago, maybe even a bit longer. They started putting this system in diesel cars. They started with Audi, then added a diesel Porsche, and then they have Bentley and also Maserati. And in general, a lot of cars that they started putting it on. But their initial task was pretty simple. Just to give a bit of sound to the diesel car, because a diesel car doesn't sound like a gasoline one, and by and large, no matter what you do with it, it won't sound better. That's why they came up with such a system.
Was there demand at launch, or did you create it? There was demand, but only the German system was available then. So was there demand at the time of the launch, or were you the first ones to come in and had to create that demand?
There was demand, but again, I repeat, at that time, at the end of 2017 and the beginning of 2018, there was only the German system available, and there were no alternatives. There was demand, but it was very expensive, and not everyone could afford it. Well, to be honest, the sound wasn't that great either, but the Germans didn't have the task of adding any sound. It would be strange for Volkswagen to imitate the exhaust sound of BMW or Mercedes, their competitor. Do you understand? So they didn't have that task. And the tuners, including us, went further and thought, why not? You can have the sound of a Porsche, you can have the sound of a Mercedes or a BMW. And so, realizing that there was demand, they decided, we need to do this.
So you actually had to create this market, right? At first, you were promoting the very concept of what an active exhaust is. And only after that did you focus on the brand itself, the company name, and the identity.
We absolutely, definitely had to generate and cultivate demand and make it more widely known and accepted, this thing in the market, because the attitude towards it is still not very favorable.
It seems to me that those who know are favorably disposed, and those who don't know, actually I feel like there are still a lot of people who really think that active exhaust and straight pipe are the same thing. They just see the exhaust and hear it.
Well, yes, people of course don't know, they just hear a loud exhaust, and for them it's all in fact the same thing. And when you start digging into the details, you realize that it's much more interesting, deeper, and everything is different.
You know, it's interesting, after 6 years in the market, you still consider yourselves a startup or not?
Well, we're still a startup in some ways, but we've also progressed. Our ability to make flexible decisions and respond to market challenges still aligns with a startup. However, we have a finished product that's tested, verified, and in demand, which we're already selling. This puts us ahead of a typical startup, but since we already have a finished product that we've tested, verified, and know there's demand for, and we're already selling it, in that sense, we're probably a bit ahead of a typical startup.
We'll definitely talk more about the products. Let's maybe briefly go over the main milestones in the company's development.
About the main milestones. In 2018, we had the first version of the system, and back then we weren't recording sounds yet. We were actually using a sound generator that Volkswagen uses. We had our own control module and our own type of sound emitters. But I already mentioned that the sound was, let's say, not great, and we moved on. We decided to release a new version and actually record sounds from good, powerful cars. I had access to them because I was working with my friend at the time, and he was in the premium segment, so there were Porsches and Mercedes, really good, powerful cars. So we found a sound engineer and started slowly recording these cars. We didn't know yet how we were going to use the sounds, but nonetheless we kept recording, and then we released the second version of the system where the sounds were already recorded. There were 7 of them back then. We made some changes to the app, added some electronics, released a new electronic module, and we moved away from that factory sound generator from Volkswagen. We already have our own module now. Right now we already have the 3rd generation of the system where we changed the module again, added sounds, processed them differently now. We have a different processor, different memory. Well, everything is different. And now they're even higher quality compared to the 2nd version, all the sounds again. I repeat, they are recorded. We changed the shape of our speakers, making them more reliable. Before they were round, now they are rectangular. We changed the design to make installation easier. Well, for now we're selling this version. We plan to release the next version soon.
Now, I know, by the way, you also released a special horn, right? A horn-type speaker for gunshots.
Yes, because a lot of people, besides the main sound, also want to have popcorn, so to speak, gunshots. Since our speakers are low frequency, they cannot reproduce the entire spectrum of sound, and shots and popcorn are still a higher frequency sound. So, whether we wanted to or not, we had to add a tweeter. It's not just us doing this, the Germans are doing it too. Well, basically all our competitors around the world are doing the same thing. Well, like a regular sound system, where there are several speakers, low frequency, mid-range, and high frequency. So, yes, we recently released our horn-type speaker. Here it's quite powerful. It provides background sound and reproduces gunshot sounds more clearly. Yes, that's right.
So what does the system actually consist of? Give us a brief overview.
There are actually 3 components. These are the speakers themselves. There can be 1, 2, or 3, an additional speaker.
Where do you put them all?
Well, it depends on the car. You can place 1 or you can place 2. The maximum we've installed on a Mercedes, he says, is 4 speakers. So 2 main ones and 2 additional ones.
What kind of sound did we end up with? How many decibels is that? 2 main big speakers.
And 2 horns?
And 2 more horns.
Yes. Well, it turned out quite loud, but we didn't actually measure how much it ended up being. But it's always better to have a little extra than to want it louder and not be able to turn it up anymore. Well, that's just how some people want it. But it is always better for a person to have a reserve than to add more, than to want to speak louder, but there is nowhere to add more. Well, that's just what the person wanted. He's got a big, beautiful car. He wanted a lot of sound, so we set that up for him. So basically, it's either 2 or 3 speakers, 2 main speakers, and this additional speaker, like a regular one. The next component is actually the heart or the brain of this system, which is the electronic module. That's where all the sounds, the sound files are stored. That's where all the guts are. It processes information from the car's onboard system and gives the command for which sound to play through the app. And the third component is actually the connecting electronic wiring that links everything together. Well, that's basically it.
Yeah, and how is it controlled?
Through the phone, via the app. Well, you can control it through the buttons in the cabin, if there are any. You can add an additional on-off button, or you can use drive select if there are extra mode buttons. You can program and control it that way.
It turns out to be quite a complex intelligent system.
It's really very complex, so indeed sometimes people don't quite understand why it costs so much. In fact, it seems like it's just that here's the speaker, yeah, and it sounds good, but the whole point isn't just in the speaker. You can take any speaker now, for example, buy one at the store, put it under the car, and see how long it lasts. In our practice, there was a case where a person bought the factory Audi system, activesound, and it wasn't working. We opened it up, and the speakers were already damaged. And we warned him, we said, let me some good speakers and we'll put them in there. And I'm going to drive it. We told him it wouldn't work, that it would last a day, and that's it. He didn't listen to us, went and bought some JBL speakers, installed them, but after a day he called us and said it wasn't working. They broke down. That's why I'm saying that it's not just about taking a speaker and installing it, because there's an aggressive environment, temperature fluctuations, salt, and so on. The speaker needs to be specially prepared, otherwise it will just break down.
You mentioned earlier that people have factory speakers, like those from the BMW group. Why do they come to you to change the speakers or add a system? It's because the factory system doesn't work the way they want it to. Why do they come to you to change the speakers or add a system?
It's because the factory system doesn't work the way they want it to. If you take BMW X5 owners, some of them don't even know they have factory speakers. Seriously. Yeah, because it works pretty quietly and only operates in sport mode. Not everyone, first of all, drives in sport mode. Everyone usually drives in comfort. And when you switch to sport mode, it seems like something happens. But it's just the word seems. Many have tried out our concept and come to us. We install our electronic module for them. Even without our speaker, they just don't have one. And people are really happy. They also get 15 sounds, and they are programmed to different buttons in exactly the same way. Basically, our system only works with their speakers, and some can be added to the factory speaker, and you can also add ours. 1 second, yeah, and this is actually a very popular story. You could say that once a week, some BMW owner comes to us to connect something. I also wanted to ask a rather sensitive question about the dealer warranty. For us, that's not a problem either, because we basically don't interfere with anything. If we do connect, it's to special wires that the manufacturer of the car has provided specifically for connecting additional equipment, like power, for example. We have 4 wires, power, ground, and decan. And we don't send any data from the car to the car. We only receive data. Our system stands alone, it doesn't interfere with anyone. So there's no reason to void the car's warranty.
Do you collaborate with dealers?
We collaborate with dealers. They show interest. We have several contracts in place. I won't name specific brands, but basically, our system is suitable for any car starting from 2008. Right now, we have a lot of Chinese cars, and it works great on them too, not to mention German cars. That's a given. So, we collaborate, communicate, and develop our partner network. Now, we have a lot of Chinese cars. They work great on them too. I'm not even talking about German cars. That goes without saying. That's why we cooperate, communicate, and develop our partner network. There's interest in them. We're working...
Sergey, I want to talk a bit more about the sounds.
All the sounds from the sports cars, since I had access to them, I invited a sound engineer, as I mentioned, and we recorded them. These are different cars. This is the Porsche 911, Lamborghini Urus, and the sporty AMG version of Mercedes, yeah.
We asked the clients what kind of sound they want.
Our clients often ask what kind of sound they want, and we take that into account too. And how do we record them? We record by taking the car and setting up, for example, 4 to 5 different microphones. They all record differently. We start it up and how the car starts and how it runs while stationary. We record, for example, the idle sound, like when the car isn't running, it sits for a long time, and when you start it, it holds a higher RPM. We call that cold idle. So it revs like this, yeah, then it heats up, changes, it drops the RPMs, and the sound changes. That's the second sound, yeah? If you turn on sport mode, then a third sound comes in. If you turn on, for example, Sport Plus, then a fourth sound might be added. For example, opening the valve on sports cars, that's already the fifth sound. So you record all of that. Yeah, you can put it in drive, press the brake, and start pressing the gas, and that will be the sixth sound. And that's how we record different sound variations from one car.
And then how does the tuning happen?
And then we listen to it in the studio and choose what we think is the most optimal, the most beautiful sound that pleases the ear, right? And now we're recording it into our electronic module. The sound engineer specifically prepares the sound file. Then our developers record the module, process it in a certain way, and it's ready for playback. And so it goes with each car. I want to say that when we released the third version, we spent a lot of time on those 15 sounds. I personally spent almost 8 months in the studio with the sound engineer because we were making several variations of the files. Then we had to listen to them not just in the studio but in the car itself. We needed to record them in the module. The developers were also naturally involved in this. Take it for a spin, listen. If something's off, redo it, switch from idle to hot or sport mode. It took 8 months, it wasn't quick. We already know what's better, how do it faster. Now, of course, the process takes less time, but we still went through that path. We recorded and processed all our sounds, no matter what anyone absolutely claims, sounds from real cars.
So they accurately convey the sound in the exhaust systems.
We try to convey the sound as accurately as possible, as much as our speakers allow, because, again, going back to the speakers, all cars are different. You can make a huge speaker, but the question is where to mount it. There's no space in the car. So we have to find a compromise. And why do we use not one big speaker, but two, for example? Because you can't put one big one, but you can fit two, one in one place, the other in another place. And this way, the client will have a more powerful system than just one big one. That's all these speakers can deliver. The sound depends on the speakers, the audiophile, and the car's design as well. So if you place it under the rear bumper, that's a semi-enclosed space, right? What is sound after all? It's when the diaphragm in the speaker starts to vibrate due to electricity, it begins to push the air. And we hear the reflection of those sound waves. And this kind of bumper will produce one set of sound waves, while another will produce a different set. It will be more bass heavy, so everything matters. So that's the path we're taking.
Interesting. Hey, when you're driving around the city, do people actually turn around and look? Yeah.
Customers are always writing in their reviews, and I've driven it myself. And I often get asked, what kind of sporty exhaust do you have? They turn around and ask, try driving with a straight pipe for 2 to 3 hours somewhere.
On the highway?
On the highway, yeah. Then you get out and your head is buzzing, bless you. No, well, some people do drive, of course, and when we were younger we drove too, but just like that.
So you also drove with a straight pipe?
Well, when I was really young, yeah.
So you've had a love for sound since your teenage years?
Yeah. Right? And Here you can't do anything. But in our version, you can actually turn it off if it tires you out, right? Or you can just turn it down like that. But again, you can't change anything with a straight pipe. So this is the sound you ended up with. This is what you'll be driving with. Here you can change the sound and switch it up depending on your mood. You want this one, you want that one. These are the key differences, the most important ones. And another difference is that, for example, if you decide to sell your car, you can take our system off and put it on your new car. And with a straight pipe, however you set it up, that's how you'll sell it. There are definitely issues with the dealer's warranty. A straight pipe is ineffective for diesel cars. It's pointless. To improve diesel car sound, use an active exhaust. Electric and gasoline cars have alternatives, but diesel does not. But if a person wants to improve the sound of a diesel car, he needs to use an active exhaust. It is clear that electric cars, gasoline cars, yes, they have an alternative. They can either go this way or ours. By the way, we also have a lot of gasoline cars because customers really don't want to mess with the system. The exhaust system isn't just about taking out a muffler and so on. It interacts with the engine, and if you do it wrong, you can end up with engine problems. And if you do it right, the cost can be comparable to our system or even more.
Differences between your system and competitors. What's the main one?
Well, the first thing is the sound quality. I believe our system sounds better and louder. Secondly, these are the installation options and a larger range of products for the vehicles we can supply. That's due to the specific sizes and designs of our speakers. Thirdly, we can always demonstrate the additional installation system on the customer's vehicle. But they can't do it the way we do. We can even take our system, put it inside the car, and the person can take a ride with that same system and hear how it will work while driving. They can't do it that way. Plus there's the warranty. We have a longer warranty than they do. Plus there's a certain functionality. I also think we have a bit more. So those are the main differences. Well, the price, it also plays a significant role. Right now, in terms of price to quality ratio, we have no competitors.
Where is the project development heading now?
Well, of course, we're constantly improving something. We're improving both with small steps, and of course, we plan to make more significant changes. So, what do we want to do now? We want to release another one. We have 2 speakers of different sizes, and we want to release a 3rd speaker, even bigger than these 2. But there is such a request from customers. This, of course, won't fit all cars, but for those it does fit, it will be really great. That's the first point. We're already working on it and plan to release it by spring. Our second big one, this is already globalny tam, 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 globalny tam. Global changes. We want to completely redesign the electronic module, all of our internals, so to speak, the heart and brain of the system. Make it, of course, even better, even more powerful, add more memory, change the sound processing. We're going to change a lot of things, a lot of components to make the sound even better. This is our second direction. There will be a completely different architecture. I won't go into too much detail for now, but that's the plan. It's not very quick. It requires significant financial investment, but I hope we can make it happen.
It's interesting, if a person buys a 3.0 system, can they upgrade to the next version of the system later? How will this happen?
Most likely we can make some upgrades in terms of sound replacements. Right now, for example, a person has 15 sounds, and we can replace them with some others that we will record in advance. But they'll still have 15, because that's how my RAM is. Yes, it's just that our memory doesn't allow us to write down anymore. And the new version will be like 2 new car models. So it's probably just a matter of replacing one module with another.
When choosing a strategy, what strategy did you follow? What did you invest in first?
It's person selling to person. And our strategy was all about being close to the customer. If you trust someone, you get to know them, you start to trust them, and then you begin to buy from them. So we tried to get to know all our clients, to communicate with them, to build their trust, and of course to showcase our system from all angles. And then we fulfill all the promises and commitments we've made to them until the end, which is exactly what we're still doing. Our whole team is working on this because we want the client to be satisfied and happy. We keep all our promises and commitments to them. And we strive to provide great service. I'm all about quality. I love developing it. I'm constantly in touch with the developers, always nudging them, saying, let's do this, let's do that, let's make this better. Even better, where else can it get better? Still, everything can be improved. The question here is just to find the balance between quality and price. You can make a very high quality product, but it will be very expensive and then no one will buy it. Well, just a few, but we are still targeting a wide audience. So we're always looking for that balance.
What values are originally built into the product? These are the honest, unshakable ones.
Value is quality, being close to the customer, respecting the customer, keeping your word, and fulfilling all commitments. Sometimes we even go absolutely above and beyond our commitments and provide post-warranty service, entirely for free. If we can provide a service to a client that costs us nothing, we do it without any hesitation, and we don't charge for it. Well, the clients, they like it, so we all live by our emotions. And if the emotion is positive and it's there every day, and you get in the car, start it up, and hear that sound, and you like it, and you drive off. We spend a lot of time in the car. Well, at least a couple of hours for sure. Well, a couple of hours with positive emotions recharge you. They make a person happy to some extent. So, probably the most important thing is emotions.
Sergey, let's talk a bit about your partners, how you work with them. Share a bit.
We have a lot of requests and actually active partners. We're trying to develop it too. This is one of our top priorities. How are we developing it? We conduct customer development interviews, talk to our partners and find out what they really need, what kind of collaboration format they want us to engage with them. And based on their wishes, we try to bring that to life. We have several options for interacting with partners. 3 or 4, I think. And we provide them with information. We give them a blank slate so they can choose how they want to proceed. Right now we have over 100 active ones, and of course we have even more requests. We would actually like everyone to sell, and the client has a lot of functions, and how they act as a buyer, and acts as a tester, an ambassador, and a seller. Of course, we have clients who write reviews themselves and even answer questions about our system. We really appreciate that. We have truly amazing clients. Whoever comes to us, they're also energized, so positive. Adults, wise people, who know what they want, who love cars. And I tell them, you are part of our family.
Sergey, I thank you for our meeting. I'm sure that today we opened up to our partners. We told our clients and our team and a broader audience a bit about the project, shared some insights on the vision for our company's future, talked a little about our plans for product development. I hope that our customers will be happy and enjoy driving their cars, so we will be glad to see them here at our company. Come visit us, we're always happy to see you. And I think you also have something to say to them.
I also want to wish everyone good financial well-being and great emotions, because emotions always come with a good product. And since I'm confident in our product, I invite everyone to test it out, to give it a try, and to experience a lot of positive emotions.
Dear friends, we thank you for our conversation today. Thank you for being with us. Together, you, us, our team, and our partners are developing our project and shaping its active exhaust market. In fact, we are one big team doing something really cool, getting people hooked on quality, loud, powerful, and beautiful exhaust sound.